Hello.
Good evening. I remember turning my mic on. Oh, right. 1 second, everyone. Last person to say hello to, and it's Stuart Frankton. So,
I've said
Stuart.
Just a general.
Right. I've done them all individually. That's it. Now anyone else comes in, they can sod off. Right. So there's me, Deb, Lesley, and Wes.
Except Lesley and Wes aren't here.
You've more chance of seeing Vic. I don't know what's happened. Sent
no
the link.
Response.
I've spoke to their agent type person in America. They've responded with all the information we need for tonight.
Yes.
And so Deborah's gonna read an encyclopedia. I'm gonna go with Q.
Yes, I've got my laptop propped on a book of spells, so I could start the beginning of that, but the book's about this big. We could be here all night.
That's fine. Well, we're gonna be here all night.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, please don't make me laugh, whatever you do.
Yes, sorry. Right, for those that don't know, Codes of the Unknown does not exist anymore. We are now the 12th dimension. If you're searching for us on YouTube, not that any of you guys should be doing, it's spelt letters, not numbers. So it's the 12th dimension, all one word.
Yeah.
Joe, kindly, because you're an amazing moderator, you write that. And don't forget there's an F in 12.
Yes.
It looks more Welsh than Welsh.
Yeah.
Because I'm still going to keep hold of the codes. Because it's still a thing. It's where we started.
Yeah.
But yeah, the website is now transferred to the 12th dimension. Letters again. Couldn't get 12th. It had already gone. And GoDaddy apparently was selling it. It was about 100 quid and I weren't paying that for it. Not when I can get it for a tenner on Vista. Yeah. Which Vista has now been bought out by Wix. And as of the 1st of...
But back up. Wix as in DIY?
WIX.
Oh, right. Yeah. That Wix. Not Wix, the DIY shop.
No.
That would have been strange.
That'd be a strange buyout, wouldn't it?
Just like...
Yeah, so Wix is what I initially started making the website, or who I started making the website with. They've now bought out, and gradually over the next month or so, it should still look pretty much the same, but it might be slightly different.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost more. So if you like to donate, that would be effing amazing.
Yes. With a capital F.
Yes. Followed by capital amazing.
Yes.
So, should we read a bio out anyway, just in
Well,
case someone turns up?
Shall I? I've got it all
Go
written
on.
out. I might as well read it.
I'll read the first one.
Oh, all right.
Yeah?
Okay.
I'll read Lesley's and you can do Wes's.
Okay.
Lesley Mitchell Clarke is a Toronto-based certified clinical hypnotherapist who specialises in a number of modalities, including working with individuals who feel they have had experiences with ETs. Most of this fascinating work, as well as metaphysical therapies such as past life and inner life regression, takes place at her hypnosis clinic, Lightwork Hypnosis.
Sorted.
So she does regression.
I know.
Which could have been good.
It could. Hopefully, I will eventually get signed onto my course because Lottie's going to be my guinea pig.
Yeah, but then you won't turn up for shows.
No, I'll be too busy hypnotising people. I could already hypnotise them. I just need to regress them now.
You know you can't go to a local off licence and use it that way to get free drink.
Okay. Look into my eyes, not around the eyes. Look into the eyes.
I can actually imagine you doing that.
Yeah. Going behind counter and going, you're very, very sleepy.
You got to grab it, pulls a gun. What are you doing?
Right, so if we had guests, if we had guests, my little intro would have been alongside her tonight. Also from Toronto, our second guest has 30 years under his belt as a contract college professor. Due to hints, due to hints of alien visitations dating back to his teens, he eventually became convinced his experiences could not be explained by conventional theories. So let's give a warm welcome to 12th dimension welcome to Lesley Mitchell Clarke and Wes G. Roberts. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Oh God!
I don't.
Is that best you could? I haven't even got anything to do that.
I've got that.
I could block one of them out. Hello, here's the monkeys.
I've got Moon Boy.
Moon Boy. Oh, fucking
yeah.
Don't squad then, sorry.
Best thing ever bought off Wish, that.
Yeah, at least you got some off Wish. Normally you
thanks
order
for joining. See you next week. Good night.
Yeah.
Anyone any questions?
I've put that on the screen. Please ask us a question.
Can I show him the new toy?
Oh God. You've only just shut it up.
I think you pull its neck up, it doesn't like it.
Oh, it sounded like my back.
There you go. Wait. There you go.
And now we won't shut up for the rest of the night.
That is Eric Mintle's fault, who is on in 2 weeks. And he knows it's his fault, as I've told him.
Yes. Just a vaguely say.
Thank you.
Now shut up.
That's it, I think, for now. If that wakes me up in the middle of the night, told you, I'm gone.
Going out of the window, followed by you.
No, yeah, me, then that.
Yeah, right, following you.
It's pretty cool.
It is.
It is. It's plastic but rubber as well, and it's the proper hoodie. Its finger lights up, the heart, and it's all interactive.
You won't be all excited.
Got a really good bargain on that.
When he wakes up with it on his chest.
With a knife.
Chucky style.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So you will get these toys on.
So we have
nobody
I've
here.
Got to tell you, so on the 23rd of this month, the Wednesday, Eric Mintle is coming on. He's a
Right.
ufologist from, I think he's East Coast.
Right.
I can't remember without looking at the messages, but yeah. So
Right.
he's a good laugh, and he can play instruments and the keyboard, and yeah. So that will be a good show.
Yeah, we're starting to get a lot of band members together. I think we should be. I'll get me one triangle out.
I'll get me wood glockenspiel.
Glockenspiel.
Piece of wood with another piece of wood. Hi, Ralph.
Yeah.
I can use my desk as a drums.
You could. I'm not sure how entertaining that would be for long though.
I think it'd do me on head in.
Yeah, as well as mine. That would definitely be a bye.
You'd have to get the big X buzzers.
Thanks for coming. You've been a right laugh. Bye.
Yeah. We'll contact you, don't contact us.
Yeah.
Is it one of them? Right. So, any questions? Anything?
Yes, please. Ask a question.
Because our backup plan is this.
We didn't have a backup plan. We weren't expecting.
Oh, this was a backup plan.
Yeah.
But I did say to you today, I've got a feeling that it's going to be a no-show.
Yeah, I know.
But we can wing it.
Of course we can.
Ooh.
We get on with it, whatever we do.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyone want to go on live now? Jo's got her own show. She's getting people going on it. What do you think you're doing?
Oh, Paul's asked a good question.
Oh, go on.
Right. Why do certain places on the planet have more ghostly activity than others, i.e. here in New Zealand? Note. I don't know the answer to that, but there are reports. I said to you the other day, there are reports in New Zealand. I need to have a look at them. But there was something that popped up the other week and I forgot to tell you about it. But anyway, I'll find it.
Do you think it's because he's not a high I can hear myself in your speakers, Deb.
I don't know why, because I've got I've got nothing going on.
All right. Okay. Is it because it not as much population? What's the population in New Zealand? Because I know you got north and south, haven't you? 2 islands.
Yeah, there are. I have seen reports.
Someone put more people die there.
What?
Where, Jo? Where do more people die?
Well, there'd be more activity if more people were dying there, wouldn't there? I would have thought.
I know I've had a drink, but
I'm glad you have.
No, 5 million, which is roughly about the northwest of the UK.
Are there a lot of rural areas as well? I mean, like
Scotland.
We've got Scotland where there's lots of areas that aren't populated.
Yeah, you got mountains and valleys and lochs and lakes and
I mean, the Yorkshire Dales is like that, but on a smaller scale. I mean, you can drive for miles and not see an house. But anyway, we're on about ghostly activity. I really don't know. Unless your culture's different and people don't want to come forward.
Could be. Or it could be a spiritual thing. Oh, but
it could be.
How stupid question. I don't know if it's the right sort of question. How old is New Zealand for like civilization? Is it new compared to like the UK and Europe, or is it like America and only a few hundred years old? Don't really know a lot about New Zealand.
I've learned a lot lately, but I can't remember anything.
I used to work with a lad who's from New Zealand. He came over where I used to work. He got a sponsorship for playing rugby.
Right, yeah.
So the company I used to work for was called Saracen, and they was named after the Saracens.
Yeah.
Because the 2 owners were big rugby fans. So it's all to do with that.
Right. And as a point of interest, England ladies rugby team are playing New Zealand tomorrow, and that better be on the telly because I want to watch that.
Oh, do you know what I'm looking forward to?
Strictly Come Dancing?
No, when we play America in the World Cup.
All right. Oh, we'll trounce them anyway. There's no doubt about that.
No, but we're going to have loads of American guests on between now and then.
Yeah.
And during.
Well, if you turn up, we are, yeah.
Well, yeah. Question: when is Costa Macros on, please? He is on the.
And he's looking at his post-it notes.
No, I'm not. Got a calendar. 2nd of December. He's only doing 1 hour.
Yeah.
And he's going to be talking about CE5 and how to get orbs to appear. Real orbs, not like a bag of dust you just throw it up in the air.
Yeah.
He sent me a few videos. I have to send them to you.
Right.
Yeah, so he's going to be coming. I've been chatting to him quite a bit. I need to re-contact with him and get some more info off him.
Yeah.
So
right, we've got some more questions. Sorry.
Quick thing though, but please don't think it's Joe Weeks because we've got the same hair. I'm not even joking. They have got the same hair.
It is hard not to get the two mixed up, but I think we'll manage.
Yeah, unless Joe can do a Cuban accent, then we'll be all right.
I can't even do a Cuban accent.
I'm really looking forward to him. It was actually Lottie that mentioned about contacting him because she was telling me about the CE5 and what he does.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be a really good one.
Yes, it will. Right. Ricky Doodle asking a question. When is your TV debut?
I think we need to clear something up on this.
Do we?
We wasn't out investigating. This was studio based.
Yeah.
A bit like how they film Ancient Aliens.
Yes.
So we all did our recording individually. And then they've got someone coming on presenting it.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of all that, they're putting video, like original video clips and other talking in between. So that's why the hour and a half recording that we all did, that's how it's all being cut and edited and made in. He said 6 episodes, but he said depending on how much of the material we can use, it could even be up to 10.
Yeah.
So it's a TV show.
He said they got enough material from us lot on the Sunday to do 10 episodes, to get 10 episodes out of the first series, so 10 half-hour episodes.
Yeah.
And then the second series, there is actually talk of going on location.
Yes.
I'm going to New Zealand. Don't care where anybody else is going.
I know, New Mexico.
Oh, I don't want to go there.
Right, let me find the... Right, so... Let me find one that I've edited everyone out.
Anyway.
So basically, just show you quickly. That was the setup.
Yes.
So we're sat on that sofa in the corner. And then a couple more cameras, sound guy, and yeah, so that was it. Yes. So we just sat there, coloured filters, and it is going to be aired. This is according to them, not me. May 2022.
Yes.
Not 23, 22.
22. We've had that then.
That's what it said on the email. Not remember. Something, I think it 20th of May 22. But yeah, so we're not out investigating on that one. It's just answering questions, basically. A bit like what we're doing tonight.
Well, not answering questions as much, talking about our theories and
what we think of different things, and then any encounters that we've had related to what the topic was. So
yeah. Right, that's that one then. I was going to say something else and I've forgotten what it was about that, but...
Oh, we're doing the second season?
Oh, yes, we're lined up for the second season as well, so...
Yeah, because I did ask a question. What was it? You said about a second season, are we going to be doing it, basically? And he's like, yes, 100%.
Already down.
You are all down for doing the second season.
Yes, and like I say, out on location, all being well.
Well, I hope they hurry up, because I'm sick of getting up at 5:30 for work every day.
Yeah, you need to make it to Hollywood.
Yeah. I'll never get enough fuel in the van to get there.
Yeah.
So.
Lottie hasn't got a grasp of this at all, you see. What she doesn't realise is I shall be having my own private jet. I have the keys already.
No, private dinghy.
I don't want a private dinghy. I'm
without
jet.
Paddle.
And
And you're going up S Creek.
Stop it now. I can't be
I-
laughing. Don't
You
make me
know,
laugh.
Rick's just put about me being the diva. Who will be
Yeah.
the diva?
Yeah.
Craig.
Craig, yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. 100%. Ask him. He'll probably even admit it.
He's going to kick the ass out of that diva stuff.
Of course he is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, this is what we need now. Yeah, I'm promoting all this. Thank you. Paul's my manager, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
He's just found out, like the rest of us.
No, I've got a list. I keep telling him what the list is. I keep adding things to the list. So I'm having a Dassault jet, and I need an interior fitment. I've decided on cream leather. Yeah.
No, I'm going all out. Apache helicopter.
Oh, God. I can't see that being very comfortable. How are you going to get a bathroom in there?
I'll go before I get in it.
God.
Obviously.
Don't make me laugh. Right.
Thank you. Solent City. That's nice.
Yes.
If I was to walk along Bempton Cliffs, you think I'm at risk?
I wouldn't recommend it.
It depends.
Yeah.
Day, night, are you on your own?
Yes.
If you go anywhere like that, you do need to tell someone where you're going.
Yeah, you do.
I've never been. I just know what you lot have told me about it. I will be going in the next few months. But it's like when we go to the cemetery or whatever. I have been on my own, but knowing what's there now, I wouldn't go on my own.
Oh.
It's just not worth it. There's
a definite atmosphere at Bempton on a night. Don't matter whether you're on your own or whether you're with other people. There's a definite. I can't even explain it. It's the weirdest. It's like two different places during the day and during the night. It's two different places. But on Cliff Lane, I had that experience during the day with that tumbleweed thing. So there's weird.
Oh, is that where that was?
Yes, yeah, on the way up to Bempton Cliffs.
Mm.
Except at that actual point, I didn't realise that was Cliff Lane. I'd read about Cliff Lane, obviously, and all the weird stuff. Like,
see, I've not heard any of this until I started talking with you guys.
Yeah. Bempton is where I went in March.
It's on the East Coast.
East Coast.
East Ridings of Yorkshire.
Yeah. It's kind of Bridlington, the same coast as Whitby and all up there. But it's just, there's an airbase there that was used for, obviously when it shut down from being an airbase, it was used for like satanic rituals and stuff like that, but nobody will talk about it.
Brian's asking, what's Cliff Lane? I'm guessing that's a road that takes you up towards it.
Yes, it is. Bempton's quite a tiny little village, and the one main road that goes all the way up to Bempton, like it's a nature reserve, bird sanctuary thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it takes you into the car park, and then you walk through and then onto the cliffs. But it is the weirdest atmosphere. Just, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
Mm.
And a lot of people, there's what they call big railings. It's like a viewpoint. You walk up onto it. It's like a wood decking, really, with a fence around it. And you walk up onto it, and you're on the top of the cliffs, and you're kind of looking out at sea. And quite a lot of people have said when they get on there, they've got this overwhelming urge to throw themselves off. Like, proper overwhelming.
Is that not just like living in Yorkshire?
But no, it's not living in Yorkshire. Anyway, good night, everybody.
You were going to go, then.
Twat.
Can
I say that at 5 to 8?
No, you can't say it at 5 to midnight.
Yeah, but that's what it is. It's like a nature reserve on the coast, but it's got there's been a lot of sightings of dogmen and ghosties, and there's a ghost of big railings, which I think we saw in March.
I delivered to Sutton Heath military base the other day.
Right.
In Rendlesham. It's in Rendlesham.
Oh, right.
It's right in the middle. It's a bit, because the front of the base, you can drive on. You don't have to go through the gatehouse when you go into the resident area. It's only when
Yeah.
you go into the military buildings. But as you come out, it's just like 180 all the way across. We really do need to set up something to go to Rendlesham, because I know Alex Lovelock and Elaine, his moderator,
Yeah.
they do that quite a lot, and they did
Yes,
say
true.
to me about going down and meeting them one day. So
Don't
if
Vanessa
anyone
go
else
as
is up
well?
for it, sorry,
Don't Vanessa go as well?
I think so. She don't do so much now because she's doing a lot of the arty stuff.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, yeah. It's taken off as that. It's really good.
Yeah, but Elaine she does a lot of like walkthroughs. They meet up in the main car park and just go walking for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
But Alex was telling me he actually got lost in there one day.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. But he said everywhere looks the same. It's just a pine forest, and loads of ferns.
Right. So that is that will be quite easy to get lost in then.
Yeah. But each gate is numbered, like each the bit you drive in. So it's all got a big number on it. But Alex was saying to me, you'll go 1 week and say it's number 27. You go the week after, it's 13. They keep changing the numbers. But you wouldn't, unless you know that each one looks exactly the same. Unless you're like near the golf course or you're near main landmark, you wouldn't know which bit you was in. I actually drove all the way around. Well, drove around the Sutton Heath part,
right?
Because it closed the road. I think it was on the phone to you, and it kept cutting out.
Yes, it did. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and there's all coaches and that trying to get down a single track country line. That was fun.
Yeah,
and actually drove all the way around, and this was just like one part of it, and you can see about 20 trees deep. That's right. So that is definitely, I think that's a stay over.
Camp out.
Yes,
you can get squats so nobody sees you camping, because sadly we can't wild camp in the UK. We can in Scotland, but not in the UK.
And you can in parts of Wales.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Well, you can wild camp in the UK. Don't get caught doing it.
Well, yeah, get hidden behind a few trees and you'll be all right.
Yeah. No, thing is, you don't use a tent. You just make your own shelter.
Yeah.
Bit of tarp, few branches, leaves.
Tack at him. But he met Bear Grylls there.
Right.
Goes into his rucksack and gets Peter Schnapps out.
Yeah, we used to do that all the time. We used to go to the over Rivington, over the tops into Blackburn. We used to go to the reservoirs. You got Edgeworth and a couple of others.
Yeah,
I think they all begin with A. And we just used to go and there's already pre-made like campfires, like the stones in a circle.
Yeah,
and we'd set a fire and have a laugh. The only thing, Joe, it's not called the unknown anymore. It's a 12th dimension.
That now.
Just can't get the staff.
No, it's because you're not paying them enough, Andy.
Oh, when someone pays me, I'll consider it.
Pass it on. Anyway, let's have a look at another question.
Yes.
Lottie wants to know how Bob's doing. Snoring.
Yeah. Soaring or snoring?
Snoring. Curled in a ball, snoring.
Oh.
So that's in. Yeah.
But you have got links, Joe. I said you need to take them off my
message
Facebook profile. I don't have time to send anything.
No, I know. I don't know why your email went into spam today. That's a bit worrying, isn't it?
Lucky you got it. The way things are going today.
Let's bob it in spam.
Yeah. Warren just said you can get on RAF Bentwater. There's a museum and various civil operators on the base.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard
Is that in Bempton?
No, that's down Rendlesham.
Rendlesham. There's so many bases down there.
Yeah, I know.
Right, I'm going to do something now. It might not be the best move I've ever done, but
oh God,
I'm just going to flash this up for a second.
Oh yes, the map.
So that's a map that was found near Rendlesham. That's how you get him.
Right.
So if you want it, you have to have a look. watch it back and pause it.
Yes. Zoom in and then
Yeah.
photo. What's it?
Screenshot it, whatever you want to do.
Screenshot
This is where my computer gets shut down now.
Yeah, it is. We get taken off air and never to be seen again.
That was sent to me by a guy who he'd seen a black cat in the area. He believes he was abducted when he was younger. I did do an interview with him, but I don't have contact with him anymore.
Yeah.
And he's seen orbs, little like 2-car headlights coming towards him and then vanish. But he used to take his dogs walking in Rendlesham. It is literally at the back of his house.
Yeah.
And they were walking down and they found that map. And within 5 minutes, 2 military guys in one of the armoured vehicles turned up and got out like they were looking for something. Needless to say, him and his mate ducked off pretty quick.
Yeah,
So,
I would say so. I would have done.
Yeah.
Always best to get out of there just in case. I remember, and I don't know where it was, in the 70s when my maternal grandmother married a second husband.
Yeah.
They'd gone out somewhere because they used to go out. He used to drive her all over. They used to go out, and it was somewhere. I'm sure it was in the Dales, and they ended up down this road. They didn't know where they were going, so he said they better turn round, and they pulled into a gateway, and all of a sudden this bloke with a gun, like in uniform, threatened him and said, "If you don't turn around and go, I will shoot you." But there was no markings or anything anywhere to say that it was private property, it was military, nothing.
You ready?
Yeah.
Have a guest.
Huh? What?
We have a guest.
Do we? Have we? Hello, Wes.
Good evening, Wes. I'm guessing Michelle didn't contact you.
No?
Can you hear us okay?
Not, maybe not.
Doesn't. It's very faint.
I can't hear anything.
No.
No.
It's right. I did message Michelle a couple of months ago saying that we changed the time to 7:30. I'm guessing she didn't contact you. It doesn't matter. You're on now, so it's all good. But I don't know what's happened to Lesley. Can't hear anything, nothing.
No, that's weird.
You want to... I've been having issues all night with mine. I was going to have to use a yogurt cart and a bit of string before.
Well, yeah, that'd have been fun.
Yeah, just for myself.
Yeah. Right, so can you hear us, Wes?
Anything? I can't even do anything on this side.
No.
Oh, right, let me see. Just mic volume. No.
No. I can't. Oh, what's that doing now? Right, his mic's on.
Yeah, his mic's on.
Yep.
Hello? No sound at all. Picture's fine. Just not getting any audio. Do you want to go out and come back in again? Sometimes that seems to solve it. So if you leave the studio.
Yes.
Oh, no, you're there.
Alternate microphone.
We can hear you.
Oh my gosh. So Lesley is still trying to join the show.
Right.
She said her link didn't work, and I didn't realize I had a link waiting for me in Facebook. Many apologies.
Well, I
No.
didn't. I couldn't find you on Facebook originally, so I was going through Michelle. So she
Right.
normally sends out to the guests that are coming on. But we've changed the name of the show, so we've had to change the domain on the website. So that's
Oh,
changed the emails. So all the emails that I did have from Michelle, I've had to transfer over to my new account and then go through them and find them. I managed to find you on Facebook. Sent you a
well,
friend
thank
request,
you.
and I sent you the link. But I sent it to Lesley as well, and she got it, but she didn't reply to it.
Yeah,
So,
I guess, Andy, apologies all the way around. We normally get the link
No,
from Michelle. So,
right.
or
No, it's
directly
fine.
from the show. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. Well, that's why I sent them to you individually, just in case you didn't get them. So, but you're here now, so it's all good.
I'm in. Would you like me to try and get the link to Lesley?
Yes,
Yeah,
if you could.
don't. Yeah, because like I said, I did send it to her.
I will.
I've just got a message off her. Help.
Help. Help.
Right.
We're usually pretty
right.
good guests and professionals, so this has caught us unawares. So
Don't worry about that.
yeah,
No, it's fine. Because
You're only
originally it was 8 o'clock, but then we had to change it to 7:30. Couple of reasons, but one of them we're on two networks on Facebook in the US.
Yeah.
She's been trying to get on for the last 35 minutes.
That's a bit weird.
Oh, let me...
Anyway, Wes, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. As I was just explaining, we're usually on the money here, so
Yeah.
I guess changes and everything caused some surprises, and perhaps Michelle didn't know either.
No,
but
maybe not.
I imagine Lesley will join up. She's really good with this, so I don't know if Andy, you're trying to help her there or what.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to start with me, I'm here. I'm alive or somewhat alive.
Yep. That's good.
Jolly good.
Right. I've sent it again. I've resent it as a fresh link.
Thank you.
Hopefully that should go through.
Right, yeah.
Right, let me see what she says. Yeah, so sorry about all this.
Not at all. I hate this when it's, you have a show.
But
a little pressure there.
It's all right, because fortunately or unfortunately for you, we can go half an hour over. So depends how you look at it.
Well, you folks do what you need to do. I'm good. I'm flexible.
We've already done your introductions, your bios. You thought we'll do them in case you do turn up, and then we'll just go from there.
Yes.
I got the email yesterday from Michelle with like the talking points and bullet points and all that on it.
Yeah.
And then that's Michelle, sorry. And then I was having issues with my printer today, and it wasn't good.
No.
So then, so I've got the one for you. So you've got a couple of books out as well, haven't you?
I do, actually. The first one was co-authored by Lesley. The second one on my own.
Ah, right, cool. So you do a lot of work together.
Vast, and it started when I was her client. Until then.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what platform she's using? Is she using Chrome or Safari? Do you know
gosh, most likely she's using Chrome or Firefox would be my guess.
Now, Firefox is usually a bit dodgy for me, actually.
Chrome.
I'm actually using Opera right now.
Yeah, I've used that before. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I don't want to exit the show to try and help her because I'm live with you now. But if you want me to do that, I can.
I don't know that you...
Well, I sent her the link.
Yeah.
Let me see what it does on for me.
Right, you sort that out then, and I shall ask Wes a question.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
I can multitask, so don't worry about it.
right, well, okay then. So what was the experience that changed your perception of reality then in 1980?
I had always been studying, researching, playing with things like dreams, lucid dreams, out-of-the-body experiences, meditation, and so forth.
Yeah.
But the experience in the 80s was none of the above as far as I could tell. I tried to do some measure of reasonable doubt. So in a lot of dreamscapes, things change. They change rapidly. They're quite fluidic. And so none of that was happening in the 80s experience. It was all pretty cohesive and consistent. And it was staged. And, I since came to know that some of our alien friends, this is what they do. They create stages and we walk up on them.
Yeah.
And so this was like a 5-stage experience. I don't know if you want me to recount it or you
of course. Yeah. I'd love to hear that.
Okay. Yeah, love to. Thank you. Parts of this may have been physical. I do not know.
Yeah.
Parts of it were not physical. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Yeah. Well, we do have a multiverse and an omniverse. I'm good with that. But so it started out when I was at an airport in the middle of the night. Not highly unlikely, but unusual because it was closed down. I was the only one there, I thought. And I was just looking out the window and just looking at jets take off.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's interesting. I'm fascinated with planes anyway, and I like aviation.
Yeah.
So I saw one of them start to ascend, and part of it broke out into fire. And I thought I was panicking. I thought, what can I do? I'm the only one here, which actually I wasn't.
Right.
The only one there. There was something or someone nearby observing me. But I thought there's nothing I can do about this. There's nobody else in the departure lounge or wherever it is I was. And I thought panic set in. But that didn't last too long because within a minute or so, I was on the plane. And so it was just almost, the segue was almost transitionless.
Yes.
One moment I'm in the airport, the next minute I'm on a plane. I've been on jets enough that I know how they sound.
Yeah.
I know the feel of them. I know the rush or the hiss of air. Yeah. Well, look who's here.
Hello.
You left me hanging there, Wes. You left me hanging.
No, I offered to come off air and help you, but...
Well, it was a simple grammar school level mistake. A Q for a G, because that's all it was. I was seeing G's, and it was I said G's. They're G's.
Yeah, now that's the main thing.
Welcome.
I'm here for sure. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you too, you guys. Oh, I'm so glad this all worked out.
Yeah.
I know.
And are you? And so I assume, are you going in real time or?
Yes, we are now. Yeah, we're on live.
All right, fantastic.
We're just listening to Wes's account of his 1980s experience.
Oh, and I interrupted. Forgive me.
You're absolutely fine.
Not at all.
Just mute me. I won't be any trouble.
No.
Just give me a bit of the old mute.
The first 5 minutes was all about dealing with technical problems. The first 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were all trying to work on it here. Anyway, so I found myself on this plane in a washroom, and I thought I was on a plane. It was all very realistic to me.
Yeah.
And then I felt the plane dropping from the sky. So I knew it was going to go down. And so this is the part that's staged, obviously. So it's going down. I have 30 seconds or a minute to think about it. And I felt that was the end, quite honestly. That was it. That's how I was going to go out. Yeah. And I communicated with my partner at the time, who was asleep in bed, which I somehow knew.
Yeah.
And, said, well, this is this is so long. You know, I love you,
Oh,
and I'm leaving. And so, sure enough, the plane hit the ground. I didn't feel anything. There was a period of darkness, probably a period of missing time, but I'm not sure. And at some point, my eyes adjusted to the light. There was a set of doors I was apparently supposed to walk through.
right.
And so I walked into phase 3 or stage 3 of the experience. And that's where most of it happened. And it was quite unremarkable for most of the experience in that I was allowed free reign to walk up and down the halls, into the bedroom, into the living room of this all too pristine apartment.
Right.
It had seemed to me then and now as if they created it.
Yeah.
Just before I stepped in. It was perfectly staged. Nothing was out of order. And so I walked back and forth. I looked at photographs of not me. I thought they were me. I looked at a photo album. I was able to go in the bedroom, sit on the bed, come back out. There is a 1940s era rotary phone,
Right. Yeah.
black rotary phone, and a little black book beside it. And it was consistent. Nothing changed. And there's lots of speculation, and Lesley and I have talked about this. You know, they pulled this out of my brain somewhere, this rotary phone. So eventually I had sort of an identity crisis. I was getting afraid.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I was quite aware of another being in the room with me. I never got a good look at it until it took me out the door and started to escort me across what seemed to be a tarmac,
Right.
Towards some sort of processing center. And there was 50 to 100 other people like me, humans, as far as I could tell, with one entity on each side of them, escorting them toward this processing center. And once we got through that, it was pointed out that I was supposed to go on this elevator. Well, it wasn't an elevator, it was a tube.
Right.
It was a cylinder pointed on the top and the bottom. I thought it was an elevator. And so I experienced extreme motion and bright lights at the top and the bottom. I had to shield my eyes from the lights. I didn't know if I was going up or down.
Yeah.
And the last stage of the experience came when the elevator doors opened and I was back at the airport with parts of my family there to greet me.
Wow.
And that's basically, in a nutshell, how it went down.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So when you realised that the plane was actually going to crash with you on it, what were your feelings then? Was it panic? Was it calm? Was it?
I think a combination of calm resignation and that I'd always speculated, like I still do, about what it will be like.
Yeah.
You know, what's it going to be like when I die? If I die in a plane crash, what's that like? And if it was simulated, it was pretty damn real. So I just thought I have limited time and I've got to reach out to somebody in that time. I don't think I felt fear, quite honestly.
Yeah.
I just felt that time was running out and I had to reach out to my partner, who, by the way, that morning after I woke up and talked about it, had later told me that she was suspended. I forget what the term is, catatonic.
Right.
She was catatonic. She could hear, but she couldn't move, and she was not allowed to participate. And I actually had 2 experiences like that back in the late 80s, both of which, the second one, she could actually hear me talking to someone.
Yeah. You hear that quite a lot, actually, that they render your partner completely. Like you say, catatonic, yeah. It's quite common, that.
Indeed it is. And although many of us have reached catatonia in the 80s, this was an entirely different type of scenario where she was literally turned off.
Yes.
As it were. And as you say, it's very, very common. And for just a moment, I just want to touch briefly, because I find this so interesting, in the anachronistic aspect of there being a 1940s telephone. And this is something that, believe it or not, we often see in these screen images or stagings or whatever you wish to call them, that are apparently drawn from our own experiential knowledge. So along with, Wes's taste for modern architecture and cleanliness, they also pulled out a few episodes of I Love Lucy. So
Yeah, I like that.
but it does happen. It happens. And I'm sure we can it's happened to Wes many times. I'm sure we can think of a few other examples where there were
Yeah.
those anachronistic strangenesses. And I did also just want to mention that this tube experience that Wes is talking about with the the super illumination on both ends. This is a device or mode of transport or whatever you wish to call it that I have heard about many times.
Yeah.
And all I can say is I have to, and I have heard the same type of descriptions of the way it feels, like your body's being pulled
Pulled.
and you don't know if you're going up or down. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we're talking about, beaming someone up or down,
Yeah.
or superluminal flight, or passing through vortices. I'm not sure what it is, but definitely it's technology that
Yeah.
recurs.
Yeah.
It recurs.
Yeah, I've read quite a lot about that. It's
Mhm.
like a super fast elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Delighted.
So how did you two initially meet?
We can both speak to that, eh, Lesley?
Yeah, well, just the very short story is I was already in practice as a
Yeah.
a hypnotherapist, and I had become known, not widely known, to some other my colleague practitioners that I did this kind of work, because to tell you honestly, most hypnotherapists or straight ahead mental health care professionals of any sort are not keen to explore what they think is probably a dissociative disorder.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So they have a preconceived idea that it's out of our scope of treatment because it implies this, that, or the other. Whereas
Yeah.
I had no trepidations about
Yeah.
that at all. And
Right.
so I was already practicing and doing this kind of work, and yet at a very small level. And I believe that we had a mutual friend, a colleague of mine who is now retired, named Barb Keshen, who recommended me. Is that what happened, Wes?
Yeah, I decided to start looking. After 19 years, I'd reached the point where I couldn't tolerate it anymore and acknowledged that something was happening. So I approached Barb, and she said, well, that's not her thing, not her specialty. And she put me on the Lesley, and the rest has been an incredible journey since then.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And I must say, it was a rare pleasure for me to be able to have so many sessions with one individual. So we really went through a journey together, which later became our first book. So
Yeah.
it really was an incredible blessing. And many of the techniques that I use today really came about from some of those sessions. And I just want to make it clear, I didn't reinvent the wheel. I have adapted tried and true past life, interlife regression techniques from Michael Newton and Dr. Georgina Cannon. I simply adopted techniques that already exist into working with experiencers, because much of the time they come and they present partial memories, and what we really are doing is regression work that sometimes these memories are tricky to get to, but I personally believe that no memories, whether they've been blocked by a more sophisticated technological culture or some misguided dudes in a Quonset hut out at Area 51, I don't care who has done that kind of technology. I don't believe it lasts forever. I think, well, the secret space program, we know they only are able to block memories for 20 years.
Yes.
We know that.
Yes.
That's they've practically admitted to that. So, so there's always a chance to bring these memories to consciousness, demystify them, look at them, and then integrate the experiences back into the whole person.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Right.
Sorry, I'm just sharing the books because people are asking what the names of them. So I've just put them up in the chat.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yep. I'll add them onto the description in YouTube as well. So
wonderful.
Thank you so much.
no worries.
Question for Les. Keep saying Les. I don't know why. Question for
All
Wes
right.
from Miss Allen. Does Wes believe there are multiple entities from multiple planets?
Oh, 100%. I think I'm involved with 2 or 3 species. Not all aliens are from planets. And I think, for those folks that haven't looked at some of the literature, there's 80 or 90 known species. Some of them could be interdimensional, ultra-dimensional. Some of them are from planets. Some of them are no longer physical.
Right.
The ones that have dealt with me the most are no longer physical, but they were at some point.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is
Never
a wide variety of beings that we engage with, and I really do think that there is a Gene Roddenberry type United Federation of Planets of evolved species. I really, really believe that that exists, because I would not have heard about it repeatedly if it did not exist. And the late Paul Hellyer, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he was for a while, he was the Secretary of Defense in Canada, and a very highly regarded, an economist by trade, but a highly regarded person who researched and did his best to expose the things that were going on with the government. Now, shortly before he died, offline, he told me that, to his knowledge, the Canadian government was dealing openly and had treaties and agreements with over 80 different species.
Right.
And if that's going on in Canada, you see, this is international. I would love to see what Prince Philip had in his files. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
I really do believe that if it's going on in one part of the Commonwealth, it's going on in another part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Especially parts that are so closely culturally aligned.
Yes.
Still,
Yes.
So there are many species. There are even, but they seem to go to a lot of trouble when we're talking about experiences with children. They seem to go to a lot of trouble to not show themselves.
Yeah.
And to not cause fear. I mean, they're aware. I've had many people, when I regress them, they talk to me about the brown doctors. Apparently, there is a species that could be called reptilian that Wes has had experience with, that are known as the geneticists of the universe.
Yes.
And they're very often involved in working with children in a benign way, not some horrible, torturous thing, in a benign way. So there's an awful lot going on, and I personally, I am insulted that we have been treated as children, not able to comprehend the reality that we live in a populated universe and that we aren't alone.
Yeah.
So every day is an insult that our politicos suppress the information.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Can I just ask, Wes, could you tell us a bit about the reptilians that you had contact with, if you don't mind?
I can speak to that somewhat. I've had some unpleasant experiences and some pleasant ones. So it's very possible that one of those actually helped me when I was a kid and had pneumonia, because I was in a clinic, what I thought was a clinic, with a very tall doctor, whose clothes didn't fit properly. And this doctor passed something over me, over my chest or over my lungs, and I was able to get through the pneumonia quite quickly.
Right.
And so the bad rap that the reptilians have, I'm not sure this is a universal experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some writers, Dr. Jacobs and others, I don't buy into what they say, is what I would like to tell you. I am not sure that's true. So I've seen some brown-skinned aliens a bunch of times, and then others in lab coats that I would say were not reptilian, who were doing nasty stuff.
Oh,
Oh, no.
So we have a complex scenario out there, kids. We really, really do a very complex scenario, but it's easy to get caught up in the xenophobia of David Jacobs because there are beings that simply evolved not along a mammalian line. And we didn't evolve entirely along a mammalian line. You know, we used to talk in psychology about the reptilian brain. Well, it is, and it's part of us. It's the amygdala. I mean, so we are the hybrids.
Yes.
We have experienced, I believe, genetic interventions from a number of different species. I mean, we talk about the 5 fingers of man. There have to be reasons why human beings can look so diverse. There were gigantic beings at one time. The United States, the central United States, is filled with burial middens that contain skeletons that are 8 feet, 10 feet tall.
Yes.
And this occurs, I believe, also on Malta. And I think on Sardinia, they just had a major, major archaeological find. And so our own, Smithsonian Institution at one point gathered up all of these gigantic skeletons they had that had been exhumed around the turn of the last century, and they burned them, destroyed them. Because they didn't fit with the
narrative,
the standard line. So there's all kinds of beings. There are tiny. I think, and Wes can speak to this more competently than I, but I also believe that there are beings that look like grays. There are many types of grays, but I think there are beings that are not fully physical, in the sense that they are designed for space travel, and they are sort of like cyborgs, like partly physical and partly not, because it's very hard for experiencers to get thoughts from them. That's one of the things. There's always somebody who's a boss, who's like directing the little minions around. So I think that some of these experiences with grays, small grays, because they're often involved in transport to the ship, back from the ship. I think that they are escorting. I think they're not necessarily physically totally biological, but there are many, many, many types of grays. There's the Zeta Reticulites from the Eisenhower Agreement, from the Betty and Barney Hill experience. There are the beings on planet Serpo that Len Kasten has described, that are a hybrid of humans and grays. So there's all kinds of creativity going on, and we're related to just about everybody, kind of like the American South. Like Deliverance.
Nice bit of interbreeding there.
Yeah, absolutely. Dun, 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 dun.
Everybody get your banjos out. Right, we've got a question for Wes from Rick Allen again. Wes, do you ever have concerns about false memories?
So I want to thank Rick for both these questions at this point. Good questions. No, I don't. My biggest concern before I went to see Lesley, that these were not true. They weren't real. Maybe they were false. That was my largest concern. My concern wasn't what most people would think, oh my God, what if they're true? I wanted them to be true only because otherwise, where does that lead me? And so I don't think I have any false memories, at least not that come to mind. I go through the process of elimination. I have a Holmesian approach to all this. Whatever's left after thorough investigation probably is the real deal. And so I go through that with all my experiences. So when I did my second book, for instance, and I had transcripts that Lesley had given me, and I had the MP3s, the audios, and I looked through 10, 12 different diaries. It's like, no. Not because I thought they were false memories, but because I thought they were not abduction experiences.
Right. Yes.
So thank you, Rick. It's a great question, but not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Question for Lesley now from Space Cadet Lottie. What are Lesley's thoughts on Dolores Cannon's work, please?
Oh, Dolores Cannon was one of the greatest beings that, ever graced the planet, and certainly, although she was based in California, I was never able to study with her formally, and certainly, and she passed really before the great internet explosion, where
Yeah.
she probably would have been teaching online if she
Oh,
were
yeah.
if she
Yeah.
were still with us. So I am a huge fan of hers,
Yeah.
and also Mary Rodwell
Oh,
is
yeah.
another brilliant woman, and she does exactly the kind of thing that I do. I watched she where did I see it? I saw I suppose it was on YouTube, but I saw footage of her doing an induction in regression of an experiencer. And I have to say, if you want to know what I do, Mary Rodwell and I have the really close, similar techniques and do
Yeah.
the same kinds of things. So it is possible to see what goes on, but don't do this at home, kids.
I've seen Mary
Yeah.
Rodwell in action. She's really good. Yeah.
Oh, isn't she
Yeah.
isn't she delightful?
Brilliant.
And let's see. So I guess that was probably the question that you wanted answered. But Dolores Cannon was one of the great lights, and
Yeah.
I'm also previous to that a huge devotee of John Mack.
Yes.
Who was, of course, the psychiatrist from Yale, who was essentially drummed out of the educational system because of his beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm a great devotee of his, and I think those are probably my primary influences.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for that,
Mhm.
Cheers.
Andrew.
Yep. Next question is from Rick Ellen again. This is for Lesley. Does
Mhm.
Lesley believe that residual memories can be inherited from your ancestors?
Wow, is that an interesting question? Is genetic memory carried in our bodies somehow? Well, first of all, I guess what I would say to that is I believe those memories of the deep past, or all memories are really external to the body. That
Yeah.
the brain is kind of the hardware, and the other things are like the data and the programs. Um, I think anything is possible. I think it's
Yeah.
possible to incarnate back into the same family. See, I think it would be hard to dissect it because so many people incarnate into the same family over and over
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
into the same soul group and the same family, and they change positions. And
Yes.
Yeah.
so I think it would be a very difficult thing to dissect. But if you have the premise that all knowledge is external to the human body, then all knowledge can be accessed by
Yes.
anyone who is able to put themselves into that relaxed state of relaxed awareness. So it would, in theory, be possible to explore the genetic past of your family through a regression
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Although it's something that I've never tried, but I don't see why that would not be possible.
Yeah.
So I
Excellent.
guess in a sense, yes, I do believe that. And certainly in the realm of reincarnation, oh my goodness, we see tremendous amounts of incidents where people carry scars and birthmarks
Yes.
and predispositions for this, that, and the other from another life.
Yes.
Into
I was
this
talking
one.
about that the other week with the little boy in India that had the
Oh,
birthmark where he'd been shot
yeah,
in his
yes.
previous life. Yeah.
Yes, I
Fascinating.
absolutely, I know about that. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true. So that's a very possible and
Yeah.
probable thing. So essentially all the knowledge is there. Now I want to say something about Wes because he's so humble. He wouldn't, bring any of this up. But when he came to me, he was already a very experienced, I would have to say, spiritual
Yes.
experiencer and facilitator. He's a trained remote viewer from the Monroe
Ooh.
Institute, began doing psychic investigations as a very young man, as a teenager, and was just really born with a lot of extra
Yeah.
extra stuff, a high excuse me, a high PSI, not PSA, a high PSI
Yeah.
level, a lot of abilities. So getting him into trance was effortless. And he
Yes.
also is an extremely quick verbal processor, visual processor,
Yeah.
because sometimes when you're doing regression work with people and you're giving them suggestions or asking them questions in the most in that benign way that we do,
Yeah.
that neutral way, I'll see the REM going in their eyes, and there's like a long pause, and they're processing everything and seeing it but not telling me.
Yes.
And I have to continuously go, it's easy for you to tell me what you're seeing. I have to continuously do that to
Pour it
get
out. Yeah.
it out, so but with Wes, he's so fluid and facile at existing in those realms that
Yeah.
the whole process was quite effortless for him, which is why we were able to go into areas of manifestation, really some wild areas that I don't often get the chance to enter.
Yeah.
And, the other thing, I just want to refer back to this earlier question about past life, genetic past life memories. We have to also posit the idea that time is not linear in the
Yeah.
way we've been taught to think of it. It is more of an agreement, so we can chart our progress and show
Yeah.
up on time and this, that, and the other. But
Yeah.
in reality, I believe that time is more like an onion, and it's kind of all happening simultaneously.
Yes.
So there would be no reason why an individual could not slip into the zone where they could travel to the experiences of their ancestors.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's a good theory. I like that. Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
Right.
All right. Next one.
Question from Space Cadet Lottie for Wes. Has Wes ever had precognitive or psychic experiences, please?
Like, when doesn't he?
It's going to be a whole show.
God, I love this person because of this question. This started when I was around 15 that I know of. And I went every possible route to find out if it was credible or valid. So I saw spiritualists who can help train you in this kind of thing. I was the youngest member of a psychical research institute here in Toronto. So I saw the experimental part of this on and off for about 9 years. I approached them because I thought I'm having experiences and I can't explain them. So experiences of, almost as if you do this with your head, there's something coming in from out there and I just speak it. I don't try to embellish it. And I know enough from remote viewing that you're going down the wrong road. If you do that, you're naming something rather than describing it. And by the time you name it, everything else you do has to do with that thing that you named earlier. So you just try and report on what you see. But I am constantly and consistently having psychic experiences. Yeah. I have anything that's precognitive. It's much more along the lines of ill-defined premonition. For instance, I was in a relationship with somebody way back when in the day, and I thought it had ended without being told it had ended.
Right.
And I went through all the trauma and all the drama of the experience ending to be told by this person it wasn't over. But then it was 2 months later or 3 months later.
Right. Yeah.
But so by the time it was really over, it meant nothing. I'd already gone through the horror of it.
Yeah, you got your head around it all.
Yeah. I sort of purged it from my system. So I don't know if Space Cadet Lottie is how you say this name, if this person has had this, but my gosh, we are all 100% wired for it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tuning in, isn't it? It's the
Yes.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you for answering that.
Sure.
Thank you. Next question is from Space Cadet. Can't speak now. From Space Cadet again. It's for Lesley. Have you ever hit a self-destruct barrier with a client when trying to access the SSP memories? as in they wanted to end their life instead of accessing them?
No, no, that
That's
has
good.
not happened. That has not happened. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I have never experienced anything like that because, you know, the people that I've dealt with who have been in the space program are soldiers,
Right.
and survival is everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the the instinct of self-destruction would be, I think, quite foreign to
Yeah.
them. I
Yeah.
don't think it would be a natural part of their decision. I haven't seen any evidence of any type of a neurological trigger of that nature. But what I have seen is memories coming back, as I say, from the secret space program after 20 years, and often in a very traumatic way. The things that those individuals have been through, I tell you, we don't need any help from other species to be horrendously horrible to each
Yeah.
other.
I know
You
that.
know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like, you know, that the devil made me do it. The devil, if you want to think of a negative concept, we are capable of going to the most horrendous levels of cruelty
Yes.
as a species. Who knows where it comes from? But it's definitely something that we have to rise above if we're humanoids.
Yes.
Yeah.
This errant gene, if you will. But the worst things that I have heard about torturous experiments and bizarre stuff has come from these black ops hybrid space programs.
Yeah.
In fact, there's one gentleman. He wouldn't mind if I spoke his name because he's been in a number of shows, and Wes
Yeah.
knows him as well. Carl Dory is his name,
Yeah.
and like many of the gentlemen from this and ladies from the secret space program, he started to sort of wake up and
Yes.
have a lot of return of extremely traumatic memories. And he was integrated or drafted into the secret space program from a very, very young age, which is often the case. And much of this early testing that happens to these individuals is designed to determine where their skill set is,
Yes.
because the secret space program is so complex and so monumentally convoluted that
Yeah.
everybody seems to have a fairly different experience.
Yes.
So Carl Dory was in a very scary aspect, I would say,
Yeah.
where they were involved in this branch that he was part of. They were involved in assassinations
Yes.
conducted
Ooh.
by assassins that they had developed who were in an out of body state. Now,
Right.
before this sounds too crazy, I'll tell you how they did it. They took these young kids, and the kids that were able to, if you want to say astral project, but
Yeah.
separate body and etheric body, they
Yes.
found out who those kids were right away. And what they eventually did to them at about the age of 9 or 10 is they subjected them to such physical trauma
Yeah.
that they learned to separate
MK
at
Ultra.
will. At will. MK Ultra. This is what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
this is a real thing, and I'm not going to go into further detail because frankly it's almost too upsetting for me to talk about,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there are children involved.
Yes.
And many
Yeah.
of these children, there's a military connection. Many of these children had parents that were involved, being Canadian, based on the DEW line, which is a string of U.S. and Canadian military bases that were built in the early 60s,
Yeah.
when the threat of communism was massive, and they were designed so that they could see, you know, the Russians lobbing missiles at us before
Yeah. Yeah.
before
Yeah.
it happened. Some things never change, right?
No.
Anyway, this is many of the individuals that I've worked with in Canada. Their parents seem to have been stationed along the DEW line. So access is something.
Yes.
Captain Randy Kramer, probably the gentleman who has the most complete recollection of his years in the 20 and back. He believes that, and again, I believe his father was in the military, but he believes that the embryo that was to become him was enhanced. And
Yes.
certainly he has a frighteningly high IQ, I would have to say, just as a therapist, without making him take any tests. Wouldn't you say, Wes, that that Randy has a kind of a ridiculous IQ?
He processes quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a quick processor. He processes it before it happens.
Just about.
Just about. But the worst things that I've ever seen have happened as a result of this military-industrial complex that got out of control in the 50s.
Yeah, shocking. I've watched a lot of on YouTube. I've watched a lot of Tony Rodriguez stuff, and I find him so compelling. Out of everybody that I've watched, he's just so compelling. All the detail and the things that he's done, and it's just amazing.
And there's another guy that is he's kind of new. He's recently come out about all this, but it was after. I'll have to think about his name for a minute. It'll come to me, but that's another guy that you've probably seen. So a few of them, and I have as many women that I work with as men, but almost none of them have come out yet.
No,
I don't know why, but they're very traumatized people.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, it's quite a traumatizing thing, isn't it? Right from childhood as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big part of your life, and trying to get your head around it all, it must be awful.
And then you're cast aside. I mean, with mental doubts and disorders and neurotic things going on. To me, this is the biggest sin of the whole thing, is because we have, I would venture to say, millions and millions of veterans who served their countries. And according to Randy Kramer, all the major nations are involved and have their own programs. So we have all allowed people to serve and go to battle and be experimented upon and had their psyches chopped up, and they're not acknowledged. They are, it's like the poor guys that went to Vietnam. I mean, they're veterans with no recognition, no help, no resources.
No.
It's
kicked out and left.
It's disgusting.
It is disgusting. I completely agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Another one for you, Lesley, from Rick Allen. Have you ever been regressed?
I have, because that's how we learn. That's the only way to teach it, is to experience it. So I have been regressed many, many, many times, and not for the purposes of, I should qualify that, not for the purposes of pursuing ET experience, but I was regressed many times when learning past life regression and interlife regression and energy release, or entity release, as they sometimes call it. So I was regressed many times under that umbrella. And I got to tell you, it's like taking sodium pentothal. I suppose there are people who can, I'm not going to say there aren't people who can lie under trance, but I would say it's quite unusual. Because the human instinct is to tell the truth. And once you take away that filter, most people tell the truth. Most people, 90% upwards, tell the truth under hypnosis. I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
I like that question.
Thank you.
Right, one for Wes now. I'm trying to go through them so that we're asking one after the other.
Yeah.
It's very democratic of you.
This cadet Lottie wants to know, does Wes know where his soul originates from, or who his star family are, please?
Oh.
So that is a great question. Everybody's asking the best questions.
We're doing great.
Oh, your people are amazing.
Wow. So I cannot name a race, but what I can say is, thanks to interlife hypnosis, which Lesley can speak to more later if you're all interested. Thanks to interlife hypnosis, I confirm for myself the answer to the why me question. I'm fond of saying these days I'm not from here, and I mean it.
Yeah.
I recognize I'm not from here. But the why me question was kind of answered when I was attending one of many councils. And this was Life Between Life. And there were people, there were spirits, there were aliens at this council. And the basic message to me was, are you good with this arrangement that we've made? And the problem with me is I didn't know I'd made the arrangement until some point deep into hypnosis. I mean, Lesley and I did 5 years together. So I didn't know until some point deep into hypnosis that I had agreed. But this was great for me because I could honestly say, I know why I'm here. I know that I can talk to this. I know I can speak to this.
Yeah.
I know I'm not from here. I know others will recognize themselves if they speak to me and talk to me. And so that's as close as I got to understanding that I was probably right on the money, and all I had to do was awaken one day.
Yeah. Right. So how did you feel when you realized all this, that you wasn't from here, that you?
I think I'm like a lot of people, most people, whether it's your backyard or you're in the back 40 or something, you look up into the sky for your answers.
Yeah.
And so I found my answers. They're up there somewhere or out there somewhere. I felt a sense of relief because for a long time, especially before hypnosis, let me rephrase that. I victimized myself.
Right. Yeah.
I felt I was a victim. Why are you things picking on me? Why won't you let me sleep?
Yeah.
Why am I afraid to close my eyes at night? Why do I have these experiences? Why do you interfere when I don't ask you in? So some of that still happens. I don't have to ask them in. They'll come in when they feel like it.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, it's like, this is an agreement, an accord, a life agreement. And so it's like, wow, I am fortunate enough to have learned part of the big reason why I'm here. So it was like, yes, I was good with that.
Yeah.
I think we're all here. I think we are all here at this time for the very specific purpose of the elevation of mankind and disclosure. I believe we have all come in here, all four of us. In fact, my next book that I haven't started working on yet officially, but it's going to be called Midwives of Disclosure.
Yeah.
And it's very much about that subject, about individuals who perhaps have star families in the Pleiades or the Lyran system or wherever, have chosen to be here now because exciting things are happening. And, it's hard to talk in linear time, of course, as we discussed, but I have no doubt that now that disclosure is a grassroots movement, that it's really been taken out of the hands of the government because of the desire of all of us to connect with truth. So the government has had their chance. Valiant Thor showed up. All kinds of things happened. The government has blown it. They're afraid to leave fossil fuels. They're worried about the economy. And so another way had to happen. And what I'm hearing from the people I work with, that this is exactly how it's supposed to happen, almost like one person at a time. But the creation of the kind of free media that we have is a massive part of this. It's a massive tool that, I couldn't have imagined when I was a kid.
Huh?
My God, we had like 5 channels. That was it, and I could not have imagined this kind of ability to communicate and interface with people all over our known world.
Yeah.
So and this manifestation is part of us.
Yes.
It's part of what we brought in and have come in. And the kids that are being born today, they have come in with the ability to manage all of this nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
So I personally think, the internet and all of it is a wonderful thing. And I've said this before, I think it's like training wheels.
Yes.
for complete telepathic communication. We practically have instant thought transmission,
Yeah.
practically, but
Yeah.
we've got our training wheels on. And I further think that many of the societies and the beautiful benevolent beings that we deal with have had to pass through this time where
Yeah.
they discovered the power of the atom. And that's Stanton Friedman used to talk. He said
Yeah.
any world that has the good fortune to have a binary system is going to figure out how their suns work, and once
Yeah.
they do that, everything is possible.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to head into a break because I need to go stretch my back because it's hurting.
Yeah.
And
Oh no.
yeah,
So,
it went
is that
this
okay?
afternoon. I have no idea why.
Too
It's
much
the weather.
question.
Blame it on the weather.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's been warm today, though.
Has it?
Right.
What's it like over there? And are you guys in London? Where are you?
No, I'm up in Yorkshire, in Leeds in Yorkshire, and Andy's down in
Oh,
Northampton.
oh my
Yeah, I'm just
goodness.
outside London.
Oh yeah, you
So,
are. You're close, but I don't know. I'm always talk about past lives. I'm always drawn to Yorkshire. I'll
Yeah.
tell you about a dream I had, which I think was a past life in Yorkshire. But let's go to break.
Right, let's
If
have
you
a break
wish.
then.
right,
Yeah.
I'm going to
Go on,
remove us
stretch.
off the screen, so it's just easier. Then I'll add us back on once the break's over. So we've got 5 minutes to
Well,
do
5
what you
minutes
need
in a
to do.
bit. We've got creepy fact of the week.
Oh yes,
Ooh,
sorry. 1
I like
second.
that.
Let's play the video.
You just need the intro bit though, because
Yeah.
it's anyway.
I've done it on a different format, but don't worry.
And
And
that
you'll
will be
find
after
out
the break.
And you'll find out after the
Love it.
break. See.
See you soon.
Okay.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And we are back.
Apart from the creepy fact of the week.
Yeah, I was just checking my microphone was on. Turn it off and forget it's off because we've got a button on it.
Yeah.
Do it every single time.
Right. Let's
have. You got it?
I've got it. Let's have creepy fact of the week before we get started again. What happened there, Andy? It's the wrong one. It's because I didn't name it. Right, let's have creepy fact of the week times 2. There is an ancient book full of strange symbols no one can translate. It's called the Voynich manuscript, and it's full of strange symbols, writings and letters. The drawings depict women, men and what look like plants, but it's not clear what it's all about. The writing looks like words, but it's not in any recognisable language. Some people think it's a textbook for midwives or a recipe book. Others think it's a spell book, and some think it's a hoax. For years, people have tried to figure out what it says, but nobody ever has.
Ooh.
There you go.
Did you also know the parchment that it's written on can't be traced back either?
Oh. No, I didn't know that. I need to be looking into this. This is something else I need to put on my list.
And in the writings, there's a lot of symbols, like the words, that are repetitive. So, like when you write the, THE,
or at,
and like ST and like R and QU, there's a lot of that. So they know it is a real language, but no one can decipher it.
Ooh. To get code cracking. Right, back to the show.
Just thought I'd add that bit in because I know a little bit about it.
Right, there's a question for both of you here, again from Rick Allen. Do the guests think that children should be encouraged in these subjects? Start with Lesley. Yeah, start with Les first.
Okay.
I think that most children are already very keen on these subjects.
Yeah.
Should we, first of all, it's not safe or recommended to do hypnosis with children under the age of 8. That's even in my book. I don't really do pediatric hypnosis with kids under 10.
Right.
So we wouldn't want to be doing any, I suppose what you're saying is also if a child presented with what seemed like memories or experiences that had that as an overtone, or maybe they even saw a small gray. I mean, if they had an experience like you do when you're a parent with anything that your child comes to you with, you try to be honest and find as much information as possible and believe them.
Yeah.
Now, unless,
Yeah.
you might have a child who's a drama queen like I was, and who knows, the kids are very imaginative and they don't always know the difference between fantasy and reality.
Yeah.
They really just don't. So you'd have to, I suppose I would say, I think that it would probably be a good policy to not do anything unless there was a specific reason to get into the subject matter.
Yeah.
But I think it's all around us anyway. And then what I would say is if the subject ever came up, a good thing to do would be to just simply reduce any fearful ideas that they may have
Yeah.
seen in
Yeah.
some movie or whatever, that there aren't aggressive aliens coming to eat us, and
Yeah.
those are not the kinds of messages that we want to get through to the kids.
Yeah.
It's just those are just movies.
I agree. What about
Yeah.
you, Wes?
I certainly would treat any question seriously without going into any depth. I was asking questions when I was 10 or 12, but I'd certainly, the way I would treat it today would be to listen and to not reveal too much, and to, from my standpoint, and I'm not a clinician, I would listen for any signs that I thought were either signs of something awful going on in their lives, something insidious, or I would listen for signs of abduction, some of which probably all of us could recognize today. The symbology, the metaphors, the analogies. I might cock an eyebrow and say, that's real interesting, as I did with one of my nieces, but she wasn't a child exactly when she mentioned it to me.
Yeah.
They will. Kids have. I work in pediatric hypnosis an awful lot, actually, and kids will have spontaneous recollections, spontaneous memories that are untethered by logic. And I've heard some amazing things from kids, and I thought, boy, I would really love to explore that, but we just can't really, at least in the scope of my treatment, I can't legally do anything like that.
No.
And I think it's best to leave well enough alone, but the memory is very fluid. My this is not necessarily about ETs, but my eldest son had quite a bleed through, quite a lot of memories to do
Right.
with his most recent life. He drew a lot of pictures, and he was always Asian.
Yeah.
And he drew his family, his other family, my other mommy, my other daddy, my sister. He drew them, and the women were in. I suppose he was about 4, something like that. The women were in kimonos, and he was definitely trying to draw Asian people,
Yeah.
And then he had a recollection of crashing in a plane during the
Right.
war, being
Oh.
something he didn't want to do. And a lot of men were suicide kamikaze
Yeah.
pilots. And from the things that he told me, I feel that may also explain why he came back rather quickly in the scope of how long that usually takes if his life had been cut off in that way. But he had a whole, and this went on for years. It wasn't until he was probably about 7 or 8 that that whole thing started to fade. for him. But he's a heavy duty kid. He used to tell me that he told me one day, Mom, the body is really just a costume for the soul. And he was about 5. And he just called me, by the way, while we were talking about him.
Oh,
Wow.
bless. You're in tune.
Synchronicity.
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Right. Another one from Rick Allen. We've got the same good questions from Rick. For Lesley, where does religion fit into all this?
Well, I think spirituality fits in everywhere.
Yeah.
I think it fits everywhere. And I have never heard of an extraterrestrial being putting down or propelling any particular type of structured religious point of view.
Yeah.
But yet many of the beings that people encounter are feel so spiritually aware and enlightened.
Yes.
So I think that there are many paths to the same place, many paths. And every religion seems to have some form of meditation or prayer.
Yeah.
I think actually in the Islamic religion, the mind-body meditation of the brief prayer 5 times a day is miraculous. I think it resets the nervous system. So there's a lot of ancient knowledge in various religions, and at one time, I think it's probably the last shards of the super cultures that were here before what we presently consider to be our civilization. I think there are elements of evolved cultures in the Vedic religion, in the Jewish religion, in the Muslim religion, in the Buddhist traditions, in the I think it's kind of all one. And aesthetic people, that's the wrong word, not aesthetic people, but individuals who have open minds have been open to the information that's been available for a long time that who we call Jesus Christ, Isa, during that missing time period, spent a big chunk of it in Tibet, learning deep meditation skills and healing and other practices. So it's different branches of the same tree. We're, as Sting said, we're spirits in a material world. Or as Christopher Clarke said, the body is a costume for the soul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Definitely.
Right. I've got a question.
I'll go on then.
Is that all right? Have either of you been told from the aliens, ETs, whatever you want to call them, why they are contacting you and the reason behind it all?
We've asked the question many times, even in a form of channeling with one prominent alien in our lives. I think it's to say you need to awaken and see what you're truly capable of.
Yeah.
And we're capable of miraculous growth and self-evolution. And that's how I'm taking it anyway. So that's been my takeaway every time, and that we're not really developed as much as we could. Like my whole 1980s experience, I was later told by this one alien was just a wake-up call, a test. Was I listening? And it's like, I'm listening now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Did they teach you anything? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no,
I was just going to say, did they teach you anything that you didn't know? Or did they guide you in any way?
I would say in 2 or 3 ways they guided me. I've always been somewhat psychic, so those capabilities increased. They were amped up. They also taught me a thing or two about emotion, because I was being accusatory to an alien I call my twin, who's been with me all my life, that she didn't know anything about emotions. So that was the stupidest thing I could have done. Because when I was in a session with Lesley once, I put that to her. I think it's to her. And I was so aghast and awash with emotions that I could have fell out of the chair.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was like, okay. And, she also said that what we're capable of, we've got to do our bit to connect with them, because they go out of their way to literally maybe change a physical environment so that they can appear to us or connect with us. And we don't do jack sometimes. We don't go our way. So these are some of the things I've learned.
That's very true. This is a cooperative event. Disclosure and our own evolution on planet Earth. But I have to wonder if maybe this isn't just the way that species evolve, that when they're ready to take a step, like say 4D into 5D like us, and they're ready to take a step like that, that the benevolent beings that are expert in these areas begin to make their presence known. And certainly I think we have to remember that as above, so below, there's a wide span of evolution, even among ETs. And sometimes I give the impression that kind of a Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm impression that everything is all beautiful, wonderful, and groovy. There have been horrendous experiences. The Zeta Reticulites harvesting sperm and ova and creating hybrid children and messing with people's minds and heads and using women as just birthing machines. There's been traumatic, horrible stuff, but thank God that kind of behavior has timed out. The Zeta Reticulites no longer have an agreement. They kept their word, and that we're not going to see that kind of brutalization again. In fact, even in my own practice, for me to find someone who has been through that, they have to be probably about my age, in the 60s somewhere. That's somewhere between 60 and death.
Yeah.
I think I'm near death.
I feel like it today.
Like it last 10 years.
Right, another question. We've got another question from Tino this time. Hello, Lesley and Wes. What are your thoughts on missing people in national parks worldwide? Thanks.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Well, I'm just going to jump in real quick and say that I believe that there are vortices all over this planet that have been created through both purposefully and through the various cataclysms that have occurred on our planet. And I think that people and animals slip through these vortices all the time.
Yeah.
And rather than viewing this as abductions, I think that these are more along the lines of accidents. And they do seem to primarily happen in outdoor areas, and where there's freaky energy out there. I mean, in the Black Hills of South Dakota, it's so freaky, and they have mica mines. God knows what that does to the EMF emanations or what have you. So I think our planet, Mother Earth, is full of vortices where it is possible to travel either inadvertently or verdantly.
Yeah. What about you, Wes?
It's noticeable. It's a noticeable thing for sure. I don't think the veil only thins Halloween night.
No.
Right.
Definitely
not. No, I don't think so at all. And I think some of the disappearances are by conscious volition. You'll see concerned family members, spouses, partners saying, oh, she would never do that. He would never do that.
Totally out of character.
Yeah, and it's like, so. I'm always thinking that maybe that's the one time they did that.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that also isolation serves some of our alien friends, as does things like sleep. You're more accessible in both situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very true,
Quick question, just but with the portals and that. Wes, have you ever remote viewed any of these? Or any of the areas where these pop up?
So this is great. We could do a show on remote viewing. I love this stuff.
Amazing. I love it.
No, I have not, but I have remote viewed off planet, which is a pretty cool and pretty good fodder for critics who are going to say, how would I know? And it's like, well, I cannot prove this to their satisfaction.
Yeah.
No.
But what I can say is where others have tread. So, any coordinates that are given to
Yeah.
remote viewers are permanently attached to that space-time juncture.
Yeah.
So all of
Right.
us here and all of your audience, and anybody can do this. If they dwell on those coordinates, they're going to go to that particular place in space-time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that's been a fascinating look at things, but there are hundreds, actually thousands, maybe tens of thousands of targets, some of them on public websites, where just those kinds of things are probably seen, and you can go back and you can verify how accurate you were because there's data on them.
Yeah. Ooh.
Right.
There's a question actually that leads on from that for you, Wes, from Rick again. Have you entered any negative spaces while remote viewing?
Easily. If you go to death camps,
Yeah,
or any areas of war, which they, generally speaking, they'll always take you to one of those places just to see what your impressions are. And our modalities are not just 5 or 6; they're more like 25 or 6 variations of modalities. So what the 4 of us might feel might be completely different. I might feel the hairs on my arms raise, or the wind blow this little bit, or slight pressure on my cheek. So anybody that goes to these horrific spots, if they're open, if they're vulnerable to the information, they're gonna suffer in one way or another.
Yeah.
And you bring that back because your spirit or psyche is experiencing it real time.
Yes.
And so it comes back to you. And what they tell you to do in that situation is go to a place called sanctuary, go to your safe place.
Yeah.
Pull out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you ever bumped into other remote viewers while going somewhere? Is that the right term?
It's a good term. I'm going to say I'm not talented, not really very talented, but others have been aware of my presence. And that means others in space-time, even in the past. Some of them become aware of our presence. And aliens are really good at doing this. I was taken to a place by a good friend who was trained by who I was trained by. And he took us to these coordinates that were well known. And it was off planet. And his intentions weren't very good that day, so they booted him out.
Oh,
that's one. Off you go.
Off you go.
And I was allowed to stay there.
Games.
And I was allowed to stay there. So that was interesting.
There's another question that leads on to that from Space Cadet Lottie again that says, what type of remote viewing is Wes trained in, please, and who taught him?
So there's probably 3 kinds. I'm no expert, so please forgive me if I'm naive about this. There is coordinate remote viewing, which you more or less do in real time. So you're given 8 digits, 8 numbers, and you start to sketch and draw and write, and you stick with it. You stick with this timeline, this gestalt that you create, which is just basically a line. First. And you prod it and you poke it and you begin to get impressions. And there's like 6 or 8 stages to that. Then there's extended remote viewing, which I'm fascinated by, which I learned first, which you go to the target and stay there for between 20 and 40 minutes.
Right.
You're in a theta state, an altered state. And then you come back and diarize everything or journalize everything that you just went through. And that can really put you out of sorts. And the trainer is David Morehouse, and he still does this.
Read his books.
Yeah.
I found them quite difficult, though. I'm like, they lost me a little bit. I'm thinking I need to be a bit more simple than this to start with, because it is very in-depth.
Quantum mechanics, quantumness, physical anomalies. I mean, I have 60 pages of notes for my first day or 2.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I love it.
Sorry, Lesley. Do you do remote viewing?
Well, oddly, I'm not trained in it, but when you were talking about earlier, there was a brilliant question about have our own psychic abilities increased through doing this kind
Yeah.
of work
Yeah.
that we do. So I've always been, I would have to say, medically intuitive. I know that I was a physician in other lifetimes. You know, I'm like a professional hypochondriac. I know all about meds. I mean, and I'm fascinated with medicine. But one of the things that when I have permission, that I like to do with my clients is a remote viewer, a friend of ours actually, who was trained at the Monroe Institute. He gave me a tip. He says, you know, one of the best ways to do medical remote viewing is to get small, kind of like in Fantastic Voyage.
Right. Yeah.
So
Shrink.
Right.
so
Yeah.
now, instead of, you know, looking at it as it is, I go into a meditative state. I make myself small. And I walk
Right.
around in the intestines and through the gallbladder, and I can peer around and look at this and look at that. And is that considered? What is that? What is it that I'm doing? And I'm telling you, I am a, a lot of the time, I'm kind of scarily correct
Yeah.
Yeah.
about things that I see, and but I won't scare, you know, my client.
Yeah.
I'll just say, you know, would you just do me a favor and go have a little checkup,
Put
and
that out.
nothing to worry, just go. So, but that's what
Yeah.
that's how I handle it. But I've seen some amazing stuff,
Yeah.
and it seems I can do it for a long time.
Yeah.
So anyway, what would that be,
Mm.
Wes? Is that remote viewing or thought projection, or because I'm really inside? I mean, I can even smell stuff.
Yeah.
I
So,
really get in there and walk around.
so in the sense, Lesley, that you're intelligence gathering,
Mhm.
that's what remote viewing was created around.
Oh,
An extra modality, an extra way to intelligence gather. So it's never 100% relied on, but combined with other things, your practical knowledge, for instance, combined with
mhm,
everything else, you're probably going to get an accurate picture of things.
mhm.
You know, was Edgar Casey a remote viewer? Probably, without the coordinates part.
Maybe because he was able to diagnose and he
Yeah,
saw things and
yeah.
unusual treatments from the ancient past.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, I'm just going to keep working with it. And it's a thing that
For
sort of
sure.
started to happen the more that I did this kind of work.
Yeah. I
So
would
I
say
think,
you're a medical remote viewer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
That's the label I
Well,
give that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think that's something that probably in the future will be practiced by all medical professionals
That would be good.
in the
Uh,
future, you
Yeah.
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
or they'll have intuitives who come in and do it just as a regular thing.
Yeah.
You know, however that's going to work, but it will be relied upon as accurately as an MRI
Yeah.
someday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Hmm.
Mm.
Right. I think a question for both of you from Nickname. We'll start with Lesley first. What is the most compelling case you've had and what made it so?
Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, there have been so many compelling cases. It's very, very difficult to say, but I can tell you a compelling story that
Oh, yeah.
triggered me into this line of work that I rarely, it's in our book, but I rarely discuss it. But
Yeah.
I would be pleased to, just because it's so mind bending. All right. So this is the early 70s. This is 1972. And I've been hired to be an actor at a summer stock theater in, speaking of the Black Hills of South Dakota, which is, by the way, a sacred space to the Dakota people. There's no air traffic allowed above it,
Right.
so it's that kind of space.
Right.
Now, in the company that year, there was a really fascinating gal. She seemed fantastically mature to me. Now I think she probably was about 30, but she
Yeah.
seemed like a wise woman because I was, 16. And we became really good friends. She was very compelling, very intelligent, and she had a regular gig. She was a performer. She sang in Nevada in the resort areas, and
Right.
Right.
also raised Mustang horses. She was a highly functional person. So um, she also had a car, which was great. So we were taking off to Custer, South Dakota, to the Skyway Bar for some illegal drinking on my part, and we're driving through the curvaceous roads, and I start seeing what can only be described as big glowing white lights that were coming closer and going farther away, and then they were following us. And I said to my friend, I said, what the hell is that over there? She says, well, I'm going to have to tell you what the deal is, because this isn't going to stop. She said,
Right.
I have another calling that I do, another job, and I work for the government as a telepathic communicator with
Ooh.
ETs. And
Wow.
every once in a while, she'd go to the plane wrap airport and get on a plane wrap plane and head out to Dreamland or Area 51 or wherever that was happening. And she decided it was very exhausting because they never stopped, because ETs don't always understand about sleep.
Yeah.
And it was just completely wasting her. She couldn't do it anymore. And she wanted to stop. And they didn't want her to. The ETs didn't want her to, because she was so good at what
Yeah.
she did. So, so this was a rather astonishing story, but I had already seen Eric von Daniken's
Yeah.
Ancient Astronauts, and I was totally on board. I believed it completely. So
Yeah.
one afternoon, I was lounging at the snack bar, something I was really good at. I excelled at that, lounging at the snack bar, and in a company of maybe 300 plus people, no one was around. Very odd.
Yeah.
Just me. And I was actually looking right across about a 30-foot road at the dorm where my friend had her room. So I'm sitting there and I see this car pull in, and I want to say it was some type of a Chrysler. It was a real Men in Black type of car. It didn't have fins, but almost. It was just at that point. And this car pulls in, driving really fast, and they stop in front of my friend's dorm. And two, I'm going to call them beings, get out of the car. And they are wearing, like George Raft, again, anachronistic shoulder pads suits,
Yeah.
like the 1940s, and they're wearing fedoras. And
Ooh.
also something that was very odd is their pants. Their pants were up really high, like high waters, and they were wearing shoes that looked like orthopedic shoes. And they were walking strangely. Now I'm wondering if the shoes were weighted in some way
Maybe. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something. So these two, and their skin looked plasticky. That's all I'm good. It just
Yeah.
looked like plastic. They looked like dolls. So they go into the room where she was staying, and although this is completely bizarre, the bizarreness of it isn't really registering with me. I'm in an altered state myself. I'm in an altered state. So I decide, after I sort of come to, I say, well, I'm going to give this like 5 more minutes. And if those beings don't come out, I'm going in. And I don't know what I thought I was going to do, wave a tuna sandwich at them. I don't know what I thought I was going to do. So I waited a few moments, and they exited in the same way they had gone in, hopped in the car, and screeched out and pulled out of this big circular drive.
Wow.
So later, I ran over there and pounded the door. And I said, again, what the hell was that? She said, well, they're continuing with their pressure, and I'm just not going to do it. And they have certain code of ethics where they can only pressure me so far.
Right.
I mean, the beings do, not the U.S. The beings did. So, that was an incredible experience. And so I would have to say, at my young age, that was the most mind-bending, eye-opening. Because remember, every time we went to town, I saw craft.
Yeah.
Sometimes I saw distinct shapes of craft and could see beings in windows. They were that close. And this went on all summer long. Yeah. So
That's
is
amazing.
that a good one? Is that a good story? I hope.
That's brilliant.
A little bit. Better than mine seeing a little ball bearing up in the sky.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, they were ball bearings. It was, what is it that Ozzy Osbourne always says? Swamp gas or
Swamp
Oh
gas,
yeah,
ball lightning.
ball lightning. That's it.
That's a classic.
Yeah. I'm guessing you watched Osborne's Believe.
I do. I
It is
do. I love it.
amazing.
It's like my
Doesn't matter what he
favorite
said.
show.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it is. It's ball
Ball
lightning.
lightning, ball lightning.
Regardless
And
of
he's
what it
still
is.
got that funny man. Is it Manchester he's from? Or is he from
No,
Leeds?
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Birmingham. What are they sort of
Still got the accent.
Shut up! Nothing gets really enunciated. It's all
No,
yeah.
all merges into one.
Yeah, no, Ozzy
Yeah.
doesn't have Parkinson's. He's just from Birmingham.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
Too
it is.
much of that and the other stuff.
It's the drugs and the location.
Bless his
Yeah.
heart.
At least he enjoyed himself. That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
You know, and you know what? I think they're wonderful parents. I
Oh,
got to
yeah.
tell you, they have their ups and downs, but they've got great kids. I
They
love
have.
Jack, and Kelly is so funny and great on her own. Now, nobody knows the sister that doesn't like to participate, but
No.
that's cool
No.
that they didn't
Yeah.
make her. They didn't make
Yeah.
her. It didn't turn into a thing like the bloody, Kardashians, whatever
Exactly,
the hell that's
yeah.
about.
Everybody gets dragged in.
Festival of plastic
Yeah.
surgery, man.
Yeah. Oh,
Good
God. Yeah.
God.
Shocking.
Yeah. Just
Right.
quickly though, I've actually
Yeah.
sent a video clip to Osborne to see if they show it on there.
Have you?
I've tagged them in it. Yeah, I can't remember which one.
Excellent.
You did send a clip, you said, or?
Yeah, do you know where they said you can put it on any social
Oh,
media
yeah.
platform
Yeah,
and you just
yeah.
tag him in it? I've done that, but I can't remember what video it was.
Oh, well.
It's somewhere on YouTube, but it's a
Okay.
good one. So, I think it was that one when we was talking to Nathaniel Gillis,
The EVP.
and they said, they got an EVP going.
Oh man, a class 1 EVP. How
Yes.
cool is that? And what
That
it was on air that it happened?
live. Didn't hear it while it was going.
Uh-huh.
So I was talking to him about UFOs and that, and the question was, do you believe that there's life anywhere else in the universe, whether it's in this dimension or another one? And the gap between me saying that and him answering, you hear something go, sound like a
Yeah.
female, and it came from my microphone.
Yeah.
That was a scary bit.
Wow. Well, there you go. You open that door and stuff is going to come in.
Exactly.
And there you go. That's what happens. But I think that we tried. Wes and I tried to experiment with some filming because we reached a point in our work together where the being that we will call his twin was making their presence known and changing the atmosphere in my office, making it hotter and more humid, just changing the atmosphere. And at a certain point, I don't remember exactly how this came about, Wes, but your twin spontaneously decided to superimpose herself on you.
Wow.
And I
Ooh.
actually visually saw, like I was looking through an image that, not a secondary image, but I saw this being just laying, almost like laying on top of Wes, or using his energy to manifest. I'm not sure, but the being was tall, slender, really tall, really slender. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could catch this? I mean,
Yeah.
if I can see it with my naked eyes without, could not a digital camera see it? So we went through the process, and the being agreed to try the same thing again, and the atmosphere in the room changed, and it got hot and humid, and then and then I saw her extend across Wes, but unfortunately it didn't translate.
No.
Now, maybe if we had had an old-fashioned Instamatic, beep, I could have gotten a still, but it wasn't caught on digital on a digital camera.
That often happens, though, doesn't it? It's like when
Yeah.
people see cryptids, they try to take a photograph and either the camera doesn't work or it all blurs out.
Watching.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
cryptids actually are able to change their vibrational structure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the reason why we don't see Sasquatch, Yeti, because as soon as they're in danger, they're able to use some kind of step-up transformer
Yes.
and literally disappear. Thank God.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, all those Americans, all those hunters, they're what kind of research is that they're doing when they're out there with weapons?
No,
I
that's
don't
not.
believe there has ever been an instance of a Bigfoot actually harming anyone. Now they've
No.
thrown stuff and they've tried to scare people away,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you guys have ever had Mike Patterson on your show, but you really should. He's the head of Sasquatch Ontario, and
Yeah.
he has an amazing collection of vocalizations
Oh,
and many years of research.
Ah.
He has a unique relationship with the Sasquatch. There's a family group that he has come to know, and
right.
he is a fascinating guy. If you ever want to do a show on Sasquatch,
Definitely.
this would be the guy to have on. He's been on
What-
Coast to Coast, but he's not overexposed. You know, he's just
Yeah.
he's very nice, and again, like Wes, a very humble, nice guy who's not
Yeah.
really.
What's his name again?
His
Mike
name
Patterson.
is Mike Patterson, spelled untraditionally with one T, Paterson, and you can
Right.
find him. You can find him on Facebook with Sasquatch Ontario.
Right. Brilliant. Oh, we'll look into that. That'd be a really good show.
You just
Yeah,
love
I'm
him.
just
He's
writing it down.
such a
Cool.
knowledgeable,
Thank you for that.
fascinating guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Question for Wes. Can I just ask this, please? Do you believe that you have an engineered genome?
Ooh, good question.
It would be pure speculation, but it would be yes, from
Yeah.
pure speculation. I'd step back and say probably we're also engineered. It's just a question of enabling certain things in our bodies, just like bacteria or disease is sometimes enabled. It's just the case of it being switched on, and then you twigging into the fact it's being switched on. But I can't speak from science standpoint.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you. No, I was just going to say we're not going to have time to go for all the questions. So
No,
what
we're
I've
not.
done, I've took photographs of them, and
Yes, the next
hopefully
time.
you guys will come back on, and we'll
Oh,
just do
yeah.
a part 2. I have spoke to Wes in the private chat, and I've sent him my private email address, and I've sent him a date to see if we can do that date, and he'll get back to me. Obviously, he's going to chat to you first, and we'll just take it from there.
Wonderful.
That'd be
Well,
brilliant.
I would love to come back and chat with you guys anytime. I'd like to be in a pub with you guys right now. I tell you, that would be the place to bloody be, right?
Drinking a few
Let me get
pints.
my shoes.
Oh,
Let me get my
yeah.
shoes on. I'm on my way.
I know. Get your shoes on, man.
When I can
And,
walk straight, I'll be there.
Thank
that'd
you
be
so
great.
much, guys. It's been just a
Yeah.
pleasure chatting with you, and your wonderful listeners and viewers had such insightful questions. These are really
Oh, they do. Good
educated,
question.
first-rate people that you're attracting to your program.
Thank you.
You're lovely hosts. Thank you both.
Thank you. Lovely.
Oh, sorry.
Right. Oh, hello.
I've pressed some.
no.
Don't ask me what I've done. I don't know. I'm having technical issues tonight.
Fingers.
It's just been one of them weeks, I think. I don't know about days.
It's ball lightning. It's the ball lightning.
It is.
Definitely.
Microphone wouldn't work. Then my mouse stopped working. I'm like, what is going on?
I know.
And then you guys couldn't get on.
That was my fault. That was my.
It's just it's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
I was doing a show in I was on a podcast in Texas a while back. 45 minutes it took for me to get to look. Couldn't hear me.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear them. And then all of a sudden it just started working.
Yeah, well, It's all those Republicans twisting in the wind. It's
Yeah, that's what it is.
it's screwing up the whole situation.
Well,
Yeah.
I work with tech and I teach tech and I know tech.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even when I got on your show, it was like, which of these several microphones works?
Yeah. Well, I've got a spare one there. I've got this one there. I thought I'm just going to have to do it through the webcam. It's got one built in.
Yeah,
That was where it was going.
definitely.
So no, but thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It's been brilliant.
My
Yeah.
absolute pleasure, guys. And you just take good care. And remember, you're doing the good work. And you are also a couple of midwives of disclosure.
Yes, definitely. They're like a stalk.
Well,
Yeah.
We'll have to write out. We'll have to make up our own language and write a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you speak your own language anyway, you.
Okay.
That's that man speak, you know.
Yeah,
it's-
nobody has a bloody clue what he's on about
Yeah.
most of the time.
I don't know what I'm on about, so no one else is going to know.
No, you're right.
There was a great
No, but
research
no.
study they just did in the UK where they said that we use 300. Each person uses 300 less words today than they did at the turn at 1900, the turn of the last century.
That's so hard to believe because nobody ever shuts up.
I
but
know,
you
but
say
they're
the
using
same
very
thing over
few
and over.
words.
Yeah,
Look at the Kardashians; it's the same 25 words.
that is
Yeah.
quite right. You're right there, Lesley. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's between them, not each.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It's just mad. The world's gone mad.
Oh God! Right, so thank you both so much for coming
Thank
on.
you. Loved
Been-
it.
Our pleasure.
I wish we could go on longer, but we are restricted to time.
Yeah.
Sure.
With the two, because with the two group pages that we're linked in with on Facebook, we
In
can only
America.
go over by 30 minutes because we have a scheduled slot.
So they cut us off.
But with the date that I've sent to Wes, that's that's a Wednesday. Hopefully you can do it.
Wednesdays are always
not-
good for me. Yeah,
All right.
Wednesdays are
Well, we're
always
not-
good.
We're not scheduled on a Wednesday. We can go
Okay.
over.
If
It
we
doesn't
need
matter. That's fine. So
I
we're more
will
open on
definitely,
that one.
I'll definitely get back to you, and or Lesley,
Thank
of
you
course,
so
can get
much,
back to
guys.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, you've got.
Okey-doke.
Yeah. Well, Wes has got me private email. That'll come straight through to my phone.
Yes, thank you.
So no
Brilliant.
worries.
Right.
So thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Thank you for Joe for moderating. Thank you for the chatters and the questions.
Thank you for everything.
All the new people in the chat. Thanks for joining in. We
Yes,
don't
thank
have
you.
anything next Wednesday.
No.
We're actually having a week off. Kind
That'd
of.
be nice. Well,
Well, we're
yeah.
back next Friday.
Wednesday off.
That's going to be fun. So next week, Nickname and Joe Weeks are going to be taking over.
And interviewing us.
Is that it? So they're going to be interviewing us, and we're going to be doing certain topics. So they're going to be running the show. So we're going to be the interviewees.
Yeah, for a change.
I'm quite nervous of that.
I'm not.
I am.
I'm not. I'll
You
just
don't know
wing
what
it.
they've got. You don't know what they've got in store for you. Us.
Yeah, well,
Us.
that's true. Right then, we're off.
Right. So
All
have a
right.
fantastic weekend, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
Wes.
you.
Thank you, Lesley.
Thank you. Bye,
Um,
guys.
See you
Bye,
soon.
take care.
Take care, guys.